Boom. We are alive, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us today. Still with the Arcane Bear. It's always fun to be in the bull market. People start paying attention again. I'm always surprised by the people that leave in the bear market. Oh, it's dead, it's over, it's never coming back. And although that can be true for some assets, we've seen this time and time again. Some things catch, some things don't. I've had a long-term belief in Bitcoin as our money. There's a lot of fun other things developing around this ecosystem, which is why we've been keeping such a close eye on Link, Solana, and Avalanche. But we've got a bunch of time for you guys today to ask your own questions too. So what I'm going to do is, first off, by taking a look here at Ethereum. Now, I'm a big fan of Ethereum. Personally, I like all of these smart contracts. Bitcoin has some great answers for certain things, but it doesn't answer all of the things. There's lots of things Bitcoin can't do. And although I love having a truck, it's also nice to have planes, motorcycles, Sea-Doos, whatever it might be. There are variations in the way one technology works that's beneficial when applied to other areas. So I think that that's always the case. I think if it would be akin to being like a truck maxi or something like, oh, I only drive trucks. I don't like cars. It sounds ridiculous, I think. But anyways, point of that being, we're taking a look at Ethereum here, specifically because we have just completed the backup phase here. So we're in the SOS and backup phase for Ethereum. And I don't know if any of you guys follow Crypto Capo. I just follow him just to see how he's so wrong all the time. It's really impressive, actually, to tell you the truth. Yeah, maybe he had some good calls back then, but he's just gotten everything wrong about this market. He thinks Bitcoin's going to drop down to 12 grand after we're at this 50K. I saw another guy, I don't know how these guys get so popular, but he's like, oh, I've started to open up another short against Bitcoin. And sometimes opening shorts, or more importantly, using something like a put, is a great way to protect your balance. It's a great way to make sure that you're not getting destroyed by the downward market trend. If you want to take out some type of leveraged short position just to help protect to the downside when we're up really high, puts are a great way to do that, or options, and sometimes shorting is a great way to do that. But I wouldn't be shorting the market as a trader to try to make money when you're in an ecosystem that is just bullish to the upside for so many reasons. But particularly here, one of the things with Ethereum that's really nice is we've had our test, we've had our SOS and kind of backup phase outside of the box, and we're starting to break into new sky territory. I think people are going to be surprised by what Ethereum does here. I believe Ethereum will get to new all-time highs before Bitcoin. Mind you, there's less distance to go. I think Avalanche and Solana might not see new all-time highs, as they still have new liquidity coming into the market from their venture capital lockups effectively. So it's a bit harder for them to grow and maintain that level of market cap growth. It's just you need a lot more capital going in. But nonetheless, what I want to do is actually take a look back to what happened with Ethereum on the previous bull market cycle. I think it's really, really valuable to re-go over this stuff. I also want to point out what happened with the SOS. SOS came outside of the box, retested the bottom of the box, and then just started a continually slow grind upwards until there was a full-scale market breakout. And I suspect that that's what we're going to see. So a few people skydiving today. You can hear their planes taking off close to us. This is what I think we're going to see here with Ethereum as well. We've seen this slow grind up. We're probably going to get one or two more little LPS and SOS phases between the $35 to $3,400 mark. I think I thought it would happen a little bit sooner, but Ethereum is a huge market cap. So when we compare these things, it's important to understand that you can't always get the timing right. We're aiming more at targets through velocity than we are in time. It's much harder to get timing exactly right in a market. So I see lots of room for upside. I think that it'll leave a lot of people behind. Ethereum will probably catch up to its parity with where it was in Bitcoin's price previously. I don't think Bitcoin's just going to totally leave Ethereum in the dust. And just for a comparative essence here from the spring, because that's its lowest point, not the selling climax, and see how much growth there is today here for Bitcoin. So from Bitcoin spring, the lowest point, 230%, where Ethereum is just a little bit further behind that at around 200%. So all Ethereum needs to do is go to $3,600, and from selling climax to where we are today, we've reached basically parity again. These assets are valuable. How valuable? Again, out of all of our newsletters for the last like 5 years, we've always said Bitcoin is our money. We're using it as our monetary center for our thesis. It's probably the least risky investment out of all of them. But as we go on, there'll be less and less upside. The volatility in Bitcoin will be wiped away as we find a more neutral balance for what money should or could be in this new world that we're kind of moving into. So that's important to recognize. I still think Ethereum has a lot of value hidden in what it's capable of doing. So your YouTube is not receiving video to maintain smooth. I can't believe the internet is it's so crazy. I come to Playa del Carmen, I think that the internet would be better, but I live in the middle of the fucking jungle, and my fiber optic line running through my lemon trees has better internet than they do out here. It's just ridiculous. I don't even know how that is possible. It makes no sense to me. So if the stream is going somewhat decent, let me know. Open widget. It says poor quality streaming here. Okay, and now it wants me to verify the account in the middle of a live stream. Could you off, really? Anyways, so let's hope it keeps going. I don't know why YouTube would think verifying a live stream in the middle of a live stream is a good idea, but that's where we're at for YouTube today. Oh man, it's gonna force me to do it too. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, we're just gonna have to grind through this process. That should do it. Okay, so back to Ethereum here. Awesome. Yeah, okay, things are going perfect. Perfect. I'm glad it's going somewhat smooth. The video is clearly breaking. Yeah, I'm sorry. I thought we would try to do these live streams, but it's clear the smart thing to do is just pre-record, because it really drops out here in the middle of a city, for fuck's sakes. Okay, so I'll finish my thoughts here anyways. I'm very bullish on Ethereum here. A lot of people think that they keep calling for a bull market, for a bear market. Once we have all these signals into long-term accumulation, you can just stay bullish. There's no need to go, oh my God, Bitcoin's going to drop. You want to remove as much of that emotion in your trading and investment thesis as possible. And you probably want to remove the people in your life that add or increase that emotion, especially if you're trading and investing. You want to find people that support and find ways to, or get out of your way. And sometimes that's the best thing to do, is just make sure you have your own space to do the thing you need to do. But I feel very confident we're going to be up at $3,500 Ethereum before we get our next kind of LPS check. I think it's basically nothing but up until 3,500. We'll get another SOS and LPS type phase there before I think we go to new all-time highs. I think we're going to go to all-time highs for Bitcoin as well, although I'm still cautiously awaiting. Our next key levels of resistance here are around the $56,000 mark. I looked at some of my videos from like 2 or 3 months ago when Bitcoin was down at 26 grand. I was like, oh, we'll probably rip up to like 52 and then build a trading range. I still think that we're in that area where I'm expecting a larger trading range to form. Maybe it's between 56,000 and 41,000. I'm not entirely sure yet. We could find out all in all that this was a PSY. We're going up to the buying climax around 56. We come all the way back down to 42 and then form a larger trading range here. But for anyone that's drawing us to go all the way back down to 12 grand, just has no idea how the market works. And there's nothing wrong with that, but the fact that they continue to tell people that they think they know what they're doing when it's obvious now that they don't is just mind melting to me. So very, very bullish on both Bitcoin and Ethereum. Again, I think we're going to see $56,000 Bitcoin here pretty quickly, and $3,500 Ethereum here also pretty quickly. I just want to take a look at Solana. Some of you guys in the Bear Den were going over some iterations of the markets, sharing that you thought this was the top of the trading range. And this is actually a pretty good thesis too. Mind you, you can, because there was clearly some level of distribution here. But for me, it looks like a larger trading range. It's just all about risk management in these spaces anyways. So This bottom part here, as we've gone over before, this looks like a beautiful inverse head and shoulders, especially on these larger time frames. That's how they show up in the accumulation range. And then we're actually already in the SOS and backup phase. Although, mind you, my particular variation of this drawing is slightly different. I think that this was your reaccumulation after the spring. I've seen this multiple times. We went over this yesterday in multiple assets. Your spring followed by a reaccumulation, which is actually your test, and also acts as your jump across the creek for those of you that are studying Wyckoff. So here you can see the creek forming effectively like this, and here was the creek, usually right along the midline. You can also kind of see where the creek is by using something like your VPVR or your volume profile. This red line now that showed up is usually where the creek sentiment is. It's where the most amount of volume and supply signature sales have taken place. As soon as we crossed over that, you can see we came back down, couldn't even get back to retest the creek, and broke up again. And that's generally how this works. This is how it worked just previously too. In the previous SOS and LPS ranges, or sorry, the reaccumulation ranges we were talking about. Did I just skip showing you all that? Yeah, I did. So I'm going to re-go over very quickly. This was your reaccumulation. This was your spring. Your jump over the creek is usually a resistance line that follows the top price movements like this all the way into the bottom of the VPVR. So I'll turn that back on so it's a little clearer again. This red line here is your VPVR. So I can't believe I had to repeat myself for this one, but there you go. Once we jumped above that, the VPVR, and we couldn't back test it here in Solana, this moves for up. So we have a few different ways to look at it. This looks like a reaccumulation after the spring with the SOS backup, SOS backup. And I think we're about to do that into the top of the box, although I'm going to get more conservative as we get to the top, because likely, and as we saw here with Solana just previously, we'll zoom in on this one because this is another great example I still have drawn up from the last parts of the movement. As you can see, our buying climax, our shakeout, our up thrust, our secondary test, spring test, all followed along by this jump across the creek, which took place in line exactly with the VPVR again. So the jump across the VPVR, or the POC, what's known as a point of control, where the majority of the sales of supply volume take place, that's usually the best place to take the long position because you've confirmed both spring and test are out of the way. It can be very volatile if you try to enter in at the selling climax or the shakeout here. It's usually better to wait for the jump across the creek, and this is where I try to build most of my positions. That's where I was working and starting on building my position with Avalanche frequently, or just most recently here as well, around the $34 area. Again, some of you guys in the private bear group had some really nice sentiments about this being the top of the trading range, potentially. And that this was a reaccumulation after decline. Here's the decline. Here's the start of the reaccumulation. Your spring, although it doesn't have I don't feel it has as well a defined shape for some of this stuff, especially because you could actually see this as the up thrust here, first shakeout, buying climax, secondary test, spring test, and then that's where the creek jump took place as well. Either way, they're both valid, but there's a really great argument for the other rendition of what you guys were sharing in the private group too. And it actually makes me question mine a little bit and go, hey, maybe this actually is a better top of the trading range when we move it down here and we do visualize that we're actually at the top of the box already. This is we're just hitting resistance, and we're about to see the SOS and LPS phases here, which is actually even more bullish for Avalanche. This would be a more bullish case scenario, whereas with mine here, the way I had drawn up the larger trading range, I would be looking for potential more of my exits up here, concerned that we might see an upthrust and then distribution and then a failure of this market. And again, so there's two sentiments there. It's when we zoom out though, and we go, okay, look, there's 500 to 600 days of accumulation. We are only, like 200 days into this. The breakout's confirmed 152 days. I would assume we have at least twice as much upside time as we've been through already. Again, I just said I don't like to time the markets specifically, but it's helpful to know how long you've been in an accumulation cycle because it gives us a lot of data to be bullish from. And that's really important. I think it can provide you a lot of valuable confidence while moving into each of the each of your positions. So just something to keep in mind. As I roll over to Link here, same sentiment. If we go just a little bit further, you can see we were following a few ranges. So we'll go over all of them. Now, first off, 534 days in an accumulation range, stuck really nicely between the middle of the box. What took place was the first reaccumulation here. The second one here, which we started telling everyone to go long as fuck, basically, that there's a ton of confidence the market is not going to come down. Once you see your first reaccumulations after a bear market, it is basically go long. Here's a second reaccumulation process, and its SOS and backup phase are taking place right now. You can see it on the smaller time frame. Very similar type of thought process here again. Buying climax, up thrust, shakeout, spring, test. And then again, right after your test, even though the test came lower here, you see your very first reaccumulation range, followed by breakup. We're in a reaccumulation range at the top of the box basically for it now, and probably going to get a bit more up thrust and SOS phases here. I would assume probably to $25. That's the next area of resistance. So there's lots of reason to believe Link is going higher, tons of data for Avalanche, Solana, Ethereum, and a little bit more headroom for Bitcoin. I do still suspect we're going to see some type of 30% retracement. So it's looking more and more likely that we'll get that is around this $57,000 mark. Well, let's put an explosion face right here. This is where I suspect we're going to hit that resistance if we draw it up with a nice box here. Where's our box? Price range, something like this. We'll probably start to hit in the resistance here. And then, so this is now I'm starting to think that this will actually be your primary support here. Then we're going to get a buying climax maybe that goes all the way to 56 to 58,000 and then starts to form a new trading range. I'm still looking for more volatility and for people like Capo to think they're right effectively too, so that we go up to 56K, and as soon as it starts to turn around and goes to 47, they're like, aha, see, I was right. It's going to $12,000 Bitcoin. People are shorting for no particular reason, and then it just turns around with a vengeance, and it's right back at 51 to 58,000. I think it does this for a little bit, and then we're going blitzo in so many different assets for the next 200 days after that. So there's a lot of stuff to be excited about in the market, but remember, be patient. Try to remove as much of the noise as possible. Damn, these glasses are actually great. I bought a new pair of gaming glasses because I got a light I got to use to make sure it's bright enough on this side and the computer screens, but these actually make a big difference. So awesome. I'm glad they make a difference. I didn't notice until I took them off. I was like, oh damn, that's bright as fuck. Okay. So yeah, we got a nice resistance line here between 55 to 60,000. And I'm still looking for a 30% kind of range to take place. So if we go to 56,000 and then retest 40,000, 38,000, that's pretty much exactly the 30% box that I would be looking for, give or take. I thought it would be a bit from 36 to 52, but now it's looking more likely it's going to be approximately 56 to 40. So something to keep in mind. As you can see, we actually get this quite frequently. So let's kind of hone in on this one. It gives us a lot of great data here. Here, this is another reaccumulation range. It was a price spread of approximately 17%, but this is a reaccumulation range. If you take a look at what happened here just recently with Avalanche and Solana as well, you get something similar, a bit less to the downside, still. But you get this nice box spread here, and this becomes your accumulation range. And look, up, down, breakout. For Bitcoin, up, down, breakout. Same thing happened with Solana, although not as clear. Here you can see, well, up, down, breakout. So these are not Wyckoff trading ranges. These are usually reaccumulation or the finalization of an SOS and LPS. Reaccumulation ranges are really, really usually well schematiced out, like this buying climax, up thrust, secondary test, spring test, jump across the creek. Time and time again, we've seen that. We saw it with Avalanche. I think we're about to see it again right now. Link's been a bit choppier, but again, still providing us tons of data to say this bull market is not over. Don't suspect it to be. Retail's not showing up yet, really. I just saw someone post like, oh, I'm teaching all of my new coiners and no coiners about Bitcoin. Okay, so retail is starting to show up, but they're not here yet. If you're still here from the previous bear market, it means you've like earned an OG badge of some kind, and it's time to enjoy the upcycle of the market. You could pretty much keep buying day in and day out, and it's only going to go up for I guess about 200 days. So, lots of fun stuff there. Lastly, I want to take a look at the S&P 500. Again, I do suspect that we're going to see some type of retracement and pullback, but everything that got dumped into the market the other day, it got bought right back up real fast. So I think we're going to go even higher for the S&P 500 too. Finally, we'll take a look at the dollar DXY. There we go. We'll go back out to the 2 days so we have enough data for this. So I think this is actually a distributional chart for the DXY. I think that we're as soon as they start to drop interest rates, we're going to fall all the way back down to the 98 mark. We could actually go lower here if we start to fall below this multi-year trend line here that's been taking place. So here you can see there's actually, again, actually, this is kind of nice. Up, down, breakout. You know, we could see a breakout for the dollar alongside Bitcoin here. I don't know why people would ever trust the dollar here, but this is still, we went from an accumulation range into an SOS and backup and a breakout and a backup. So we could see a breakout for the dollar here too. It could run right alongside Bitcoin. People don't trust every other currency and they're trusting them less and less. But if they start to drop interest rates, I think that we could fall below this multi-year trend line going back all the way since 2006. If we fall below that and close, we're coming all the way back into this box and maybe all the way back down to the 72-point mark. And this would actually be beneficial in a lot of ways, but horribly detrimental to a lot of the third world countries, because if Mexico's peso starts to gain strength against the US dollar, its ability to import and export gets totally fucked. So side point to think about, keep, dollars and pesos versus just have Bitcoin in whichever country you're in, basically, is the smart sentiment there. So I'm going to take a few of your guys' thoughts and questions. We'll look over at what's going on here. Love Stonks says, it seems fine. I can hear you fine. Just a bit glitchy video, but I didn't even notice. Awesome. I'm glad to know it was working. Thank you so much. Just tuned in. Love the live stream. Looks great. Can you take a look at Render Token, Manta, Super? Love Stonks asks, how do we join your private group? arcanebear.com/private. Remember, it's the friggin' disease of the new investor comes from overtrade education and no community there to support their process. They're surrounded by people that are not paying attention to the same things. So the cure to that is by joining a community of people who are focused on signal instead of noise, soft-spoken, and don't like jumping around a lot. So you can do that. There's no risk. If you do sign up, you don't like it, we just give you a refund, no questions asked within the 30-day period of signing up. All of the 10 memberships we had on discount sold out basically instantly. So thank you all to the new members. Again, if you're seeing this video and for some reason you had trouble making it in because I didn't see all 10 of you join the Discord, remember to email info@arcanebear.com if you have any issues. We would love to help you fix those. Our amazing staff at the Arcane Bear here would like to help you fix that as well. So please remember to email us info@arcanebear.com if you've had any issues for any reason. We're here to help. So hope that helps. And then let's see. Do you like GRT for long term? Hard to say. Link is actually kicking butt here. I always like to keep focuses on, but Link is doing really well in terms of Oracle. So it's hard to say. The best way to do that would be, I guess, for me to give another 10 minutes to you amazing people as we build this wonderful brand and go and take a look at what it is you're asking me to. So let's start with GRT. If I'm if I'm now looking at something you're interested in, remember to give us a thumbs up and like this content, ladies and gentlemen. It's very supportive, and leave a comment, share this video on your Facebook, your Twitter, everywhere you possibly can. It helps us grow. So here's GRT back on the screen right now. You should be able to see. Let's get rid of the RSI. Wow, we're really low from its previous all-time highs. As you can see on the daily, we have not yet left the trading range, but we are about to, it looks like. Again, in general, it's a pretty clear what appears to be a double bottom. We've seen these quite frequently. But the fact that we haven't left the top of the trading range, even in this SOS period, and stayed above it, leads me to believe that there's just not a lot of interest there. And Link is so fucking strong right now. I don't know why we'd want to. Sometimes it's best to let the market do the thinking for you. If you see volatility to the upside in an asset that you think is going to be outperformed by another asset, it's better to be in the asset that everybody's interested in, because even if they're wrong, the price is going to go up, which is one of the reasons why you're making the investment. If 2 years from now everybody realizes GRT is a better choice, it's going to show in the technicals, and you can do a much better job by trading technicals when you understand this, because then you can align, oh, here's a great product, here's a great market fit, and now the technicals are aligned with the fundamentals. Because sometimes a technical trade is much better than a fundamental trade, because not everyone understands why records or vinyl are better than MP3s, and they're not going to ever explode, even though the audio quality of a vinyl record is 1,000 times higher. It's just not going to happen. So you also asked me to look at a few other things I've never heard of. Super and Manta and Render. Okay, I have no idea what any of those are. Render, we'll start there. And again, I'm just going to quickly take a look at the technicals. None of the fundamentals here, because as I've just said, they're basically unimportant. Ooh, this is kind of nice. This is a fun little piece here. So first off, Render has performed quite nicely. If you could make an argument that there are multiple trading ranges that took place here. One at the very bottom of the range and one at the top of the range here too, for what appears to be like a giant cup and handle. And we've seen this before. I talked about it about 2 episodes ago. Very small accumulation range at the bottom here. SOS backup, boom, breakout. It's in a good spot, but if I hadn't entered yet already, I wouldn't necessarily be looking to take positions here unless I knew more about the fundamentals. This is again where technicals and fundamentals come into play. The other thing I think that looks interesting here is you're seeing the start of what appears to be a new trading range. But again, if you are already up a 10x basically, you're going to make sure you want to have some type of risk management in terms of whatever this position might turn into, because although it could go higher, we're up 10x, and we're up even higher, or let's see, we're up 2.5x since August, which is quite high. So I would just make sure there's some type of risk adjusted stop loss or something like that in my position, unless I'm super confident about it working out in the long term, which is what you need to build with fundamentals. Use fundamentals as the reason to convince yourself why the technology is so good. Use technicals to make sure the rest of the market is seeing the same thing, pouring money into it, and then it's usually pretty easy to take a position and go from there. Okay, so last 2 you guys asked for was Super, which I've never even heard of. It's probably we're going into total shitcoin territory potentially. But damn, the market is clearly responding. So look at this. This is again one of the interesting parts. I can show you how this happened in Bitcoin too in 2017. You have a really small accumulation channel here, a breakout with the SOS and LPS doesn't even come close to coming back into the box. For Super, we're up 14x already. But again, you could make an argument here that we're actually just left the top of the box here, which is what this phase was. Mind you, if I was interested in Super, this 1 hour trading range that took place here is actually quite nice. This is a pretty classic reaccumulation range. If I hadn't taken a position and I saw this forming, this was enough to get me going basically. And it looks really, really similar to Link. Remember that backup phase, that first SOS and reaccumulation pattern here and then breakout. So if you're looking for a breakout trade, this is a pretty classic reaccumulation channel to have learned from. Obviously we didn't look at it up until today, but for retroactive learning, you can go back and backtest just by studying all the market movements that have already taken place. Again, you've got a really strong accumulation box down at the bottom and a really strong reaccumulation that took place over last week for this 100% gain that it's into at the moment. Last one you guys asked about was something called Manta, which again, I have no idea what these are. So if you're looking for really long-term plays, I would do way more homework. There's nowhere near enough data for me to say anything about what's going on here, other than you could make the assessment that this is a smaller part of the trading range. And we're basically in a reaccumulation after decline. It looks like this is a venture cap. Oh, I didn't show. I didn't show it. Maybe this looks like a venture play here. So pretty classic reaccumulation after decline. So hopefully that was helpful. I appreciate all your guys' support. Remember to give us a like, thumbs up, all that fun stuff. One Q Club says, "Yo, Tio, greeting from Guatemala in the mountains right now. Thanks for the update." I fucking love the mountains of Guatemala so much. I'm going to have to come back and visit there soon. Anyways, remember, have yourselves a wonderful day. Get rid of all the noise. We're still in a bull market. Don't suspect that just all of a sudden ends because someone said so on the internet. We'll chat again soon. Ciao.